Good afternoon, good evening or good morning. Today we're going to ask the question, Gibson or PRS? These two guitars are essentially meant to be the same thing in that a PRS McCarty single cut is meant to be their version of a Les Paul. It's on the same scale. You know, they've even used Ted McCarty's name, who was basically massively responsible for the Gibsons of the 50s and how they turned out. You can tell looking at it, they're both very, very similar guitars. Obviously there are differences, like the cutaway on the PRS is a little bit more player friendly up the dusty end. The Gibson cutaway's been like that for 80 years. In fact, no, 70. Yeah, 70 years it's been like that. So, on this particular one, this is an S2 model, so it's an American made one, but it's sort of the cheapest American made one you can get. This is my own guitar. I do use this for gigging. This one belongs to Andy out of Circle of Origin and $1 Billion Alice. He's very kindly lent me a couple of Les Pauls for the day so I can do some videos. Anyway, let's get on with it. I'll do the Les Paul first and then we'll do the PRS. Yeah, Gibson Les Paul, mahogany body, mahogany neck, although you do get some iterations of the Les Paul that have got maple necks, like Zatwile's for instance, or the Zatwile custom shop model that has a maple neck on it. Two-piece mahogany body, two-piece maple cap, mahogany neck, rosewood fingerboard. Gibson paths, this is a standard one, it's not been modded in any way. As is the same for the PRS. The PRS is standard, so it should be a fairly good shootout. One of the differences of the guitars, just immediately on picking them up, is the Gibson is heavier. You know. So anyway, here we are. I better turn the amp on. That'd be a really good idea. Here we are. Right, straight to the angle. All the tone controls on 12 o'clock apart from the presence, which is on 9 o'clock. The gains on, or rather the lead gain is on 1 o'clock, clean gains on 10 o'clock, and the master volume is on 10 o'clock, and I'm recording the angle with an SM57 mic going into my mixing desk, which has been recorded onto an SD card, and there's a microphone on the video camera too, which you'll also be hearing for the in the room sound and my speaking. Okay. Slippy pick. One thing I should say is this guitar's a 1990s model. That PRS is fairly new, so there are obviously going to be differences, like in the PRS there's coil splitting, there's no coil splitting in this, so I'm not going to bother doing any sounds with the coil split in the PRS when I get to it. Neck pickup. One thing I've just noticed, if the pickup switch is in the middle on the Les Paul, and I've never realised this before, and I've owned Les Pauls for like 36, 37 years, I've probably had, I think I've had about 30 or 40 of them, right? Both volumes on. If you turn one volume down, it cuts both of them off. I never realised that. I would have assumed that if you turned your bridge pickup volume down, it would just kill your bridge pickup. Not both of them, but... I know straight away this is a brighter guitar than that PRS, because obviously that PRS is mine and I know what it sounds like. Yeah, I think the intonation might be a little bit out on this, but I think that's partly because he has it in different tunings to what I've got. It's in standard at the minute, and I think he might have it in, he might use it in drop D, but half a step down as well. So, but yeah, let's swap them over and see what the PRS is like. Although I do actually know what the PRS is like, since it's my guitar, but you know what I mean. Right. Essentially the same sort of construction as a Les Paul. Maple cap, mahogany body, two-piece mahogany body, mahogany neck, rosewood fretboard. One of the main differences is the cutaway there. Also the neck handle is different on a PRS as well, which I prefer. You might notice on a PRS guitar that the string angle coming to where the tuners are is straighter too. I think it gives better tuning stability doing that. Generally with the way PRS guitars are, because of how Paul Reed Smith is, he seems to be constantly thinking, how can I make this guitar more serviceable? And you get the people going, oh, but they haven't got the mojo that Gibson's got. Yeah, might not, but if you're a gigging musician, I'd rather have something solid that I know will stay in tune throughout the gig. I'm not going to have any kind of problems with, and does the job. You know. Anyway, PRS McCarty, S2 McCarty. McCarty 594 this is called because it's on a Gibson scale. Most PRSs are on the 25-inch scale. This is on 24 3/4, which is the Gibson scale. So the guitar itself has got a chunkier neck than that Les Paul, which is the only thing I don't really like about this. If it had a slimmer neck it would be perfect and I'd have a house full of them. I'm seriously thinking of taking this to a luthier and having him shave the neck down, but I don't know whether I'll just wait until one comes with a pattern slim neck and buy that instead. But anyway, let's get on with it. Bridge pickup. Straight away I think this is a darker guitar than that, you know. It is a fairly fair comparison because these guitars, bought new, are around the same price. You know, an S2 McCarty is about the same price as a Les Paul. Both made in America, both high quality parts on them. One thing I particularly love about the PRS stuff now is they're putting brass saddles in and stuff like that. It's fantastic. I also like the PRS knobs. They're, you know, and the pots are fantastic. Although that sounds scratchy, but might have to put some contact cleaner on that one. Right, we'll do the rolling off test. That's on 0. That's on 1. That's on 5. That's on 10. Yeah, I've gigged this guitar a lot. It's so versatile, and you can play it for 2 1-hour sets and your back isn't killing you at the end, unlike quite a lot Les Pauls, which I'm sure that one would, and the custom that I had my hands on earlier. Okay, we'll go on the clean channel. Now, I do actually prefer the sound of these pickups to any others. I've seriously looked at buying PRS pickups to put in my ESP guitars that I gig normally with it, because these are so versatile. You can use them for pop music, whether or not you'd be playing like Madonna. I mean, they've got a chord split on them as well. I know I said I wasn't going to put the chord split on, but just as a... So I think PRS wins on the pickups straight away, because I love these pickups. The reason I'm not putting them in my ESPs is because they're 400 quid a set. So, no. You know, but they're still brilliant, you know. It's maybe a slightly unfair comparison between this and the Gibson, because this is a brand new guitar It's got quite a lot of the new innovations put into it that PRS have come with over the last few years, whereas the Les Paul is a 30-year-old guitar. And I know there's a lot of people say, well, you know, all guitars are supposed to be better, but there are certain things that make newer guitars more serviceable on a, you know, on a working level, say if you're going out gigging. And there's also the issue of robustness, because we all know Gibson headstocks come off really easily. I'm very fortunate in that I've never had a Les Paul headstock come off myself, but the amount of people that I know that have, that where the guitar's been in the case and the case has been knocked and the headstock's come off in the case. I've not come across a PRS yet that's ever had a broken headstock. I've not even seen one. I'm sure there may be cases where it's happened, but generally, as we all know, it's not as common as what it is with a Gibson. And that, I think that's all down to the angle that they put the headstock at. It's, you know, it makes it more fragile, whereas with this, there's a lot more meat on it, and, you know, it's not going to be as fragile. But again, some people love PRSs and will, you know, say Gibsons are rubbish, the quality control issues, all that. Other people will say, you know, they're die-hard Gibson fans and they'll never touch a PRS. And we all know that no argument is ever settled on the internet. I like them both. I like the PRS because it's bomb-proof, it's usable in a gig. I mean, you can, obviously a Les Paul's usable in a gig, but it's less fragile, it's not as heavy as this. I can gig a PRS for a good 2 hours and my back won't be killing. I can't do that with a Les Paul unless it's a chambered one, and this one isn't a chambered one. But then again, there is something that you sit down and play a Les Paul and there's just something about it that you can't always put your finger on. And I suppose it's the same with a lot of guitars, you know. There's loads of guitars that have something about them that, you know, you can't quite pinpoint exactly what it is that makes them so great, but they are great. And this is a great guitar and this is a great guitar. Whether one's better than the other, I've got no idea. I don't really care, I like them both. And I'd gig them both. I'd play them both, I'd gig them both, and I'd keep them both if this were mine. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like and subscribe on your way out. Cheers.